Welcome. It's Indisputable. I'm your host, Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day with me, none other than Rayyvana. Guaranteed to be a fascinating breakdown. Top story of the day. Biden, the president of the United States, had a great opportunity to one-up conservatives as they lied while calling him a liar. He did not take advantage of it. Not sure if it was him, whoever wrote the damn speech for the State of the Union, or just pure, Democrats not knowing how to message something. All right, so let me remind you of the incident. Here it is.
Some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. It means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you.
Politely not naming them, Mr. President. This is your opportunity to actually present an enemy. You see, I've talked about this many times before based on political strategy. Republicans are masterful at making sure there's at least one, maybe two enemies every election cycle. The difference is their enemies are fictional. They make them up. Oh my goodness, we have undocumented immigrants selling drugs and doing all kinds of other things, they will say, for the sake of an election. They create an enemy. Well, Biden had an opportunity to clearly proclaim contrast between Republicans and Democrats as it relates to Medicare and Social Security. But he wanted to be polite. He said, if anybody wants to see the proposal, they could contact my office. I did. I requested the proposal. They have not sent it to me yet. So maybe it's only available to other members of Congress. So I had another member of Congress request the proposal. That member of Congress does not have it yet. Is there a proposal? Yes, I believe Biden is telling the truth. Are Republicans antithetical to the notion of Medicare and Social Security? Yes. So when they hopped up and acted as if they had no idea what Biden was talking about, I'm going to provide proof they did. Let's first start with Senator Ron Johnson, who called Social Security and Medicare Ponzi scheme. Here it is.
Yeah, so that's why what I've talked about from the first time around in 2010, I just laid out the reality of Social Security. It's a legal Ponzi scheme. It is. I mean, it's a pay-as-you-go system.
Yep. Yeah, they're Republican. There's nothing attractive about a Ponzi scheme. That's how he characterized Social Security, Medicare. There's more. In that speech, Biden should have been prepared to say something like, I don't know, Congressman Michael Waltz said, and I quote, I agree with Jim Jordan that we are going to carve out woke policies out of the military. But if we really want to talk about the debt and spending, it's the entitlement programs. He was talking about Social Security, Medicare. Don't believe me? There's more. NBC News, direct quote, says the Republican Study Committee, a large group of House conservatives, proposed a budget in June that would incrementally raise the retirement age to collect Social Security based on changing lifespans and lower benefits. There's more. Washington Post, direct quote. House Republicans have started to weigh a series of legislative proposals targeting what? Social Security, Medicare, and other entitlement programs, part of a broader campaign to slash federal spending that could force the new majority to grapple with some of the most difficult and delicate issues in American politics. HuffPost, direct quote. House Republicans are making clear that they intend to seek cuts to entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare with their new majority in the 118th Congress. Or how about when Rick Scott, who had a plan to sunset, eliminate all federal legislation over 5 years, under the risky assumption that worthy laws would be reenacted. That could mean an end to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, everything else mentioned above, and potentially more. Now, if you don't believe Republicans do stand against Social Security and Medicare, how about Donald Trump's budget proposal? Let's put it up. In all 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency, his budget proposal included massive cuts to both Social Security and Medicare. Trump's fiscal year 2021 budget proposal called for a net cut of $480 billion from Medicare and $24 billion from Social Security program. How in the hell did President Biden not polarize every single Republican who acted as if they needed to clutch their pearl? Because Biden told the truth. Now listen, I'm an equal opportunity, put my foot up the ass person. If Biden is wrong, I tell you he's wrong. Trump wrong, I tell you he's wrong. If they happen to be right, I would tell you they are right. What you saw was the messaging strategy of the Republican Party at play. There are people who saw that moment and truly believe that Republicans are the ones who are for Medicare, Social Security, and that Biden somehow was just either A, making it up, or B, talking about maybe one, possibly two Republicans and nothing more. Hell, the way Biden even contextualized it, it made it seem as if this was not even a really big deal among the Republican Party. It is such a big deal that every single year, their Republican president proposed a budget, he cut money from the program. My dear sister, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Joe Biden says he was trying to be polite, but I think he was being pathetic because there's absolutely nothing to lose and everything to be gained for defending Social Security and fighting to strengthen it. There's a reason why we saw all those Republicans hooting and hollering, why we saw Marjorie Taylor Greene jumping around in her Yeti jacket when he called them out for it. There's a reason why Social Security and Medicare are known as the third rail of American politics. They are the most popular federal programs in this country. So that's why Republicans were so offended that they might look like they are against Social Security when in reality they very much are against Social Security. And like, let's look at the age demographics of the average median Republican voter and the ages of which people are receiving Social Security. I mean, Joe Biden could have taken that opportunity to try to steal some Republican voters who benefit from Social Security and bring them to the Democratic Party. And instead, I think he floundered. It was a really wasted opportunity. But that being said, Social Security is an instrumental social program we have here in the United States. For so many elderly people, it's the difference between, having a place to live, being able to feed yourself, and being in abject poverty in this country. It is one of the few programs we have where we take care of our senior citizens, and those are the people who vote in our elections. Those are the people who are going to the polls. Those are the voters that he could have appealed to, but he just wasn't strong enough. And I genuinely do think it's not polite, it's pathetic.
I concur. We have more information. The white officer who later was accused of also being a catalyst to the death of Tyre Nichols. We got more information about him and the violence that he did on that night that contributed to the death of Mr. Nichols. Let's put the picture up full mass here. Remember, they tried to hide him. That is Hempfield, a document filed by the Memphis PD. Request for Officer Hempfield to be decertified. This is normative by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. It's called POST. That document has given us more information than the police chief of Memphis. That document reveals more of this former cop now and his involvement in the traffic stop and the litany of violations. But despite Henfield being fired for his conduct during that night, Henfield has still not been charged criminally. Not been charged criminally, okay? He's been charged departmentally, which is an administrative function, but the DA has not charged him criminally. On January 7th, investigators say Officer Henfield initially told them that Tyre Nichols was stopped for reckless driving at a high rate of speed, but then later told investigators he didn't actually see Nichols driving recklessly. All right, what is that? Obstruction of justice and lying on an official document, as well as violation of oath. There you go, 3 charges right there. There's more. He then let loose, as you see in the video, after Nichols was hauled out of the car. Remember that scene? Audio from Officer Henfield's body camera captured him yelling, "Get on the effing ground, finna tase your ass." That's him saying that, okay? Once again, not charged. As a matter of fact, we did not even know who he was in the beginning. They were hiding him. As reported previously, Henfield is also heard on body camera footage saying, "I hope they stomp his ass," after Nichols fled. He also said Nichols began fighting with officers after he was stopped and tried to grab his partner's gun. Video evidence shows this did not happen. Investigators say Henfield violated the department's truthfulness policy. Oh, that's what it is. So when a cop lies on an official document, it's just a violation of internal policy. He didn't tell the truth. He violated the truthfulness policy. You see, when a civilian lies to a cop, that's called obstruction of justice. It is a crime. When a cop lies to a cop, they say, "Oh, it's just a violation of our truthfulness policy." You all have a truthfulness policy? Really? Can I read it? All right, there's more. He also said Nichols was fighting the officers. None of that happened. Additionally, Henfield used a taser. Now, I'm gonna get to the violence here, okay? Why is he not charged? Officer Henfield used a taser on Nichols as he was fleeing in oncoming traffic. And the documents show he failed to retrieve a part of the taser that was missing. Both actions are against MPD's compliance with regulations policy. Investigators say Nichols showed no sign of violence toward Officer Henfield and say the former officer's behavior at the scene violated MPD's personal conduct policy. Well, when are they going to say it violated the law? Well, let me tell you what's happening here. Post-certification is the entity who basically empowers a cop to be a cop. It is your certification standard. Without that, you cannot have arrest powers in a particular state. Now, here's what's interesting. They know Henfield is dirty. They got to get rid of him. But for some reason, they're not willing to charge him criminally, which would have been the quicker route to get rid of him. The chief does not come out and tell us any of these details. The reason we know them is because in order to decertify this cat, they must present the basis for decertification. And in that presentation, these facts, these elements must be spelled out properly, or post can be subjected to lawsuit. So we are seeing the truth through an administrative division, not through the police department, nor through the DA's office. That is a problem. There's more. Documents also show Officer Henfield did not collect and tag a cell phone found in Nichols' car. The car and evidence were eventually towed to the city's impound lot. This violated MPD's inventory and processing recovered property policy. He also violated compliance with regulations policy by using personal handcuffs. Yeah, you heard me. The man, for whatever reason that day, decided to bring handcuffs that were not issued by the police department. There's more. Investigators say Hempfield had the chance to change his initial statement, but did not. He had a chance to change his initial statement. He also declined to give a statement at his hearing with MPD on the day he was terminated. Why is he not charged? Why is he not charged? The Memphis Police Association, however, did give a statement at Officer Hempfield's hearing and said they objected to having a hearing before the conclusion of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's investigation. There you have it. Now, you and I can clearly see a difference of treatment. Ben Crump called it out quite early. Not only was he involved in the interaction, he was part of the violence that night. And then he was part of the cover-up. Beyond being part of the cover-up, they clearly described a scenario where he was allowed to change his statement. They literally put this in writing and said, hey, we actually gave Hempfield the opportunity to change his statement. And he did not. Why has he not been charged? All right, just the thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, we can just look at the officers who were arrested in Hemphill, and yeah, there's a big difference there. All the officers arrested and charged are black officers. Hemphill was the only white officer who has yet to be charged. And the department can say, "Oh, he violated our truthfulness, policy within our department," but he also violated federal law and absolutely can be charged for that. And I mean, to some extent, he's the but-for cause of the murder. Without his false statement of reckless driving, the arrest wouldn't have happened in the first place. So you could even bring him in if they don't think they can charge him under the same charges they're charging the other officers with. They could bring him in under felony murder for that. I mean, and because he's sitting there chanting, "I hope they stomp your ass," that shows that it was foreseeable to him that this man might be murdered as a result of his lie. So I think there's a lot of grounds under which they could charge this man. And the only reason I can see that they haven't is because he's white and they're trying to, cover up their asses for everything else. But I mean, it's also it's plain as day what's going on here. This man is guilty as sin and he needs to be charged and held accountable, and not just administratively, but criminally.
That's right. Well said. We will obviously continue to follow this story as it develops. Promise you, developments are coming. Black ranchers in Colorado are being treated unfairly, harassed, and here it is.
I'd like to say thank you, world, for sticking in there with me. The fight is not over. I've been informed this morning by a fellow service member that the police were called on us 5 times this past weekend for doing work on our land, performing while black. That's not a crime. Elijah McClain would still be alive to this day if it wasn't for somebody calling and saying that a black man is walking down the street. That's not a crime. None of that is a crime. Farming while on your own land is not a crime. The people that were out here this past weekend didn't deserve to be tormented and harassed by Gerhardt's goons. I guess I'm finna be facing charges. New charges are finna be coming down the pipeline on me for being on my own land. World, I'm asking that y'all come out in full force on 2/17/23 to the Denver Capitol. And we state our claim that the Karen Act be passed and put into law that make it a crime, a hate crime, to weaponize the police against people of color.
That is Mr. Mallory. Mr. Mallory was arrested for felony stalking. All right, he was arrested on Monday, February 6th. And the bond was set at $6,000. Let's go to the next video.
Please make the call. Gerhardt's goons are at it again. Gerhardt's goons are at it again. Farming while black in America. There's Deputy Hancock there with El Paso County Sheriff's Department. That's the vehicle 8306. He has not provided any information as to whether there's anyone else in the vehicle at this time. State Patrol appears to be. Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. We're still live here, world. You want to talk real quick? Yeah. We're still live. Flood the lines of the Sheriff's Department. Gerhardt and his goons must be fired. He needs a lie detector test.
Drop the trailer and come on down here.
Let your followers know how you doing right now.
I'm not well, but
okay.
This is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of the hate crimes and the false accusations that Officer Gerhardt makes.
That's right.
And just so happened one of his goons are here, Hancock.
Hancock is one of his goons?
He's part he's part of the plot.
But Cantrell is going to take care of you, correct? You'll be in your care the entire time.
I'll be the only one.
Only one. Yeah. You hear that, America? Courtney Wayne Mallory better come out of this unharmed. It's Black History Month and we still working.
Put up Courtney and Nicole. Courtney and Nicole Mallory. They spent their savings to buy 1,000 acres of fertile ranch land in eastern El Paso County in a predominantly white and predominantly conservative community. Despite leaving the city to start their agricultural career and enjoy success during the pandemic, they also help feed people. They're good folks. They got hearts. But some white neighbors haven't smiled on their fortune since they raised a Black Lives Matter flag over their property, along with a Marine flag and a Christian flag. They say locals have terrorized them, their fences and property vandalized, spray painting the N-word. Their animals have been killed and mutilated. They say someone even poisoned their dog. We can't show all the photos of their maimed animals because they are too graphic, but we can show you these. Then a farmhand, Don Amaya, who stayed on the Mallory Ranch, was murdered in May 2021. Courtney Mallory told the Ark Republic that he was shot in the back of the head in a chicken coop found with his pants down. Courtney Mallory also said he thought the killer likely mistook the worker for himself. Here is what Nicole Mallory told the Ark Republic about the killing on her property. A direct quote says, Don's murder was a clear message. It was gruesome. It was heinous the way he was murdered. The police haven't given us any information. Let's put up the reporter who broke this story. Remarkable individual. Dr. Kai Nyambi Shivers. Ms. Shivers is also an NYU professor and veteran journalist in the Black press. She also founded the Ark Republic. Direct quote. After I put the articles out, Mr. Mallory said they weren't sleeping. And Nicole Mallory said at that point, there was this slow procession of random white people slowly rolling by their property, which as a Black person, or if you know African-American history, that's one of the strategies of intimidation that is used to say, I'm watching you. Here is a photo of one of those white neighbors, according to the report, trying to intimidate Mallory's. Since criticizing the sheriff's or the sheriff's department for inaction on the killing of Amaya, the Mallory say they have also been harassed by a sheriff's deputy or deputies led by Deputy Emery Ray Gerhardt. They said Courtney Mallory's arrest on Monday is part of the sheriff's deputy's harassment campaign. Let's put the picture up of the El Paso County Sheriff, Joseph Roybal. His office issued this statement in response to the publicity around the case. Put that statement up. It reads in part, within the last 2 years and through the end of January 2023, the El Paso County Sheriff's has investigated 19 different complaints filed by and or involving the individuals identified in the article against members of the Sheriff's Office. Each of these complaints were individually and thoroughly investigated. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office has also responded to over 170 calls for service that involve the individuals identified in the article. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office will provide the public with the legally releasable documents and records related to these complaints. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office believes that this information will prove that it and its employees acted in an appropriate and professional manner in all their interactions with the individuals who are the subject of the article. Indisputable has requested the records. The sheriff says he will release. We will bring you that update as soon as we get it, all right? A GoFundMe, let's put it up. GoFundMe to finance a tighter security system around the Mallory's property is called Deputy Leading Assault to Steal Black Farmland. If you feel the unction, make sure you support that GoFundMe. The Mallorys also encourage supporters to join a protest at the Colorado Capitol in Denver on the 17th of February to make racially motivated police calls a crime in support of a measure called the Karen Act. Now remember what's happening. People are simply in the community calling the police to get them out of the community, okay? Legislation would help, but the irony is it is already against the law to misuse 911. If they don't want to enforce it in the current state of the statute, they won't enforce it when they pass the Karen law. They also want to let people know if you're interested in buying any of their meat products, you can email them at freedomacres1@gmail.com. freedomacres1@gmail.com. Okay, so long story, a lot of twists and turns. Bottom line is Jim Crow, yes, on steroids, perhaps. Remember, a man is murdered. According to the victims of all of this assault and attack and surveillance, that murder may have been meant for the actual black male who continues to be harassed. All right, this is such a horrible reality in America, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's truly heartbreaking and outrageous. And I'll just say, I think it's just more evidence that the American dream does not exist for Black people in America, because these institutions like the institution of policing and these racist communities will not allow for it to happen. What we have here is the Mallory family who saved up for their dream to own this farmland, to have this life that they've envisioned for themselves. And the community, the predominantly white racist community, the racist institution of policing in Colorado Springs, in that county, is not allowing that to happen. And I mean, there's not a single document I think that police department could release to show that their officers are just doing their jobs when a murder happened. A man was murdered on this property, and have they found the killer? No. What they're doing is they're wasting their time arresting Courtney Mallory on just BS charges and continuing the harassment against this family. It's absolutely disgusting. I hope the viewers are able to support with the GoFundMe, or if they're in Colorado, they're able to get to the Capitol to support the protest that the family, is supporting. But I mean, at the end of the day, what we're seeing here is just that, white Americans and Black Americans are living in two very different realities that's supported by, institutions, but also by individuals, because this is a racist community coming together to harass this family and, try to ruin their lives. It's horrifying, it's racist, and it's just downright disgusting.
We're not the court of law, but we are the court of public opinion. We can be effective by shining light at darkness. Dr. King taught us that. this light will continue to shine. Transparency has a way of eliminating darkness, right? To the ranchers, we're with you. Continue the good fight. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. All right, welcome back. We have a lot of show left. Let me do this. I want to read a couple of comments. Kind of pressed for time. Cannot read them all, but we'll read as many as I can. Okay. Don't forget J.R. Jackson. A new time happening now. And I'm pulling up my comments. Give me a second. I apologize for the delay. All right, J.R. Jackson. All right, that's happening, 5:30. Make sure you tune in. You can always subscribe on the YouTube page, the watch list. 5:30, 5 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Pacific time. YouTube.com/watchlist TYT is how you subscribe. Make sure you do that. All right. Tyler Hackner, thank you for that. He did name the names the next day, though. I know he did. Who cared? Right? The moment was the moment. The eyes were the eyes. The eyes were there at that time, is my point. All right. But yeah, he did name them the next day. Aurora Transparency, Colorado police are all out of control. Denver threw me into a wall 10 days ago for filming the police. I'm sorry to hear that. If you have video, some commentary about it, or even if you filed a report, make sure you contact us at Indisputable at TYT. We want to highlight your story, okay? All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you Karen Wood.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Didn't think this would happen to me. Yeah. Didn't think. Yeah.
Yeah, call the police. Let's do it.
Go ahead.
I already did.
Good.
On your way.
Good.
Right here?
This lady's crazy, y'all. I'm at my house. Huh? No problem. No problem. This lady's in my way at my house saying I don't live here. This woman is saying I don't live here. This is my house. You crazy lady. Another white lady pulling some old bull crap. You know what?
Why did you say you don't live here?
Why don't I live here? I don't have to. I'm waiting for my son to come outside. I don't have to do anything you say, lady.
Why do you don't think he lives here?
Good. She already called the police. Another one of those ladies on TV, on the internet. No, come back.
I actually have more video. Let me explain the irony of what's happening. And this is what makes her a Karen. It's not the mistake by itself. It's not. It's when she realized a mistake had been made. The person does actually live there. There is proof positive of his residency. She doesn't say, I am so sorry. That is completely my fault. I really believed what I said, and I'm sorry, I was wrong. No, she gets upset that the man is actually not a threat. She gets upset that he's not selling drugs or criminal. She gets mad at this. She wants him to be a criminal. And when he is not, she still says, hey, I called the police already, and walks away as if somehow he has still done something by proving he is a resident, that he has done something worthy of a criminal response. That is calling a gun to a person or for a person who simply is existing, living. You see, this is once again a derivative of the, hey, I want to see your freedom papers. I want you to prove to me you have the right to be free, to exist. There's more video, here it is.
Why are you running? Me? Why are you talking like that? There's children out here. What's wrong with you? I was sitting there minding my business, waiting on a truck to come out, and she says, I don't live here. I don't have to do that. I don't have to. Wow. Did you hear that? I'm a drug dealer. Wow. Amazing. You see this stuff on the internet all the time, but you never think it's going to happen to you at your own house. But there it is. There it is. Wow. That's amazing. She wanted to block the door and everything, man. Wow. My God. Go inside, man.
Very sad. Let's put up the picture of the Karen today. We don't have many details about who this person is, but I will say this. Madam, I hope you learned a significant lesson. You're too damn old to act this way. This is the reason you are now viral. You're viral because of your own inability to embrace humanity as humanity presents. The one constant in nature, the one constant is variation. All of us are different. Everything nature produces is different. Instead of enjoying the beauty of our differences, you rather engage in actions to show you are intolerable to nature itself. All right, Rayyvana, thoughts here.
I think there's something really insidious about her smirk as she walks away and says, I already called the police, because she knows what that means. And she knows that it doesn't matter that he lives there at that point, because the police won't, in a lot of instances, it won't matter to them. And it doesn't mean that they won't shoot a black man in America, for sitting in his own car or being in his own house. That doesn't change the fact that she called a gun to that situation. And she knows that she was wrong, but she's still a little bit snotty about it at the end, because she knows that she's already done the damage, and that it still might go the way that she intended it to go when she called the police in the first place, which is just horrifyingly disgusting. It's also really sad to hear him say, you see this stuff happen on the internet, but you never think it's going to happen to you, because it's such a reality in America now that Karens will call the police on black men and black women, black children who are just minding their own business, and they'll call a gun into the situation to escalate it, and in some cases, make it become deadly.
Yep. All right. Anti-Karens unite.
You're screaming at employees at Walmart. Get out of here.
Not racist.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
The United States doesn't have an official language, jackass. Here's another Karen insulting my daughter. Coming out here, my daughter's been coming here watering plants for 3 weeks while they're out of town. You don't know them. You insulted my child. We live in a neighborhood. Karen, welcome to the internet, Karen. You got little girls crying. Welcome to the internet, Karen. The new Karen. Welcome to the neighborhood, Karen.
I need a name.
I've lived here. You don't need a name. You need to get away. You need to go somewhere. If you don't know, you need to go somewhere, Karen. Out here making little girls cry for watering plants at a friend of ours' house, and you're the new Karen. You need to go somewhere, Karen. Welcome to the internet, Karen. Welcome to the internet. Making little girls cry for watering flowers. The new Karen. Welcome.
Just come over.
She's still sitting here on my property.
First of all, how are you insulting these kids? Obviously, you must have stepped on the property.
I don't know what's going on with her, but she seems drunk and she's still standing here on my property. You got the girls crying.
Have all these little girls crying. Welcome to the neighborhood, Karen.
Something just don't smell right with me.
Well, you don't smell right. You don't smell right, Karen.
You can't handle your control right now.
You don't smell right, Karen.
You can't handle your control right now.
Okay, Karen. See you later, Karen.
Right here.
Please do stay here.
Right here. Go handle the kids. They live here. You're too busy on phones.
They're watering the plants like they're supposed to, Karen.
This is actually a throwback, Karen. I highlight it because one, sometimes you simply have to be the anti-Karen who shames the Karen into retreat. And two, we recently had a story. It was actually an exclusive, indisputable report of a black pastor in Alabama who watered his neighbor's plants at the request of his neighbors who were out of town. He's watering the plants. A neighbor calls the police. Police come. Neighbor comes out and says, "Oh my goodness, I made a mistake." No, I know him. That's the Reverend. He's a neighbor. Police say, "Well, he's misbehaving. We're going to still arrest him." So you have a scenario of children watering a neighbor's plant, and the Karen harasses them. And then you have a black pastor in Alabama watering his neighbor's plants. A Karen calls the police, and the police, they decide to do the rest. Thoughts, Rayyvana?
Yeah, I mean, these Karens really love to use dehumanizing language, particularly about black people, black men. But I mean, for the love of God, it's these white women out here who are acting like animals, because even in her worst case scenario of what the situation was, a child is watering someone's flowers. I mean, what's the harm that's being done there, for the love of God? Even in her version of events in her mind, there is absolutely zero harm. And she just took it upon herself to go harass these children to tears, and it's despicable. And then the audacity of her to stay there and talk back to the anti-Karen and be snarky and rude and say, "I can stand wherever I want," knowing that she just caused these little girls to cry and to be sad, and she doesn't seem to care about it at all. Just completely devoid of empathy, compassion, just this inability to see humanity in other people. It's just truly disgusting. People need to, it's shut the F up Friday. But I mean, these Karens, it should be every day for them. Mind your business every day. You need to just stay in your lane and shut up, because so many times they're way off base when it comes to their accusations, and then they're just standing there looking dumb. You can avoid all of this if you just shut up and mind your business.
Yeah, and it actually would be better if you either A, apologize when you realize you're wrong, or B, not argue back and forth. But listen, it does make for a better Karen video, so I'm good with it, all right? We got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay. All right, welcome back. We have a lot of show left. Let me read a few of these comments. Old Jam says they really think they can just call the cops on us whenever we're somewhere we don't belong, as if we exclusively have to exist in the gutters. Black on the ranch, ? Suspicious. Black in the ghetto, ? Suspicious. Yep. Tyler Hackner, thank you, Tyler. So tired of these noisy, entitled Karens. Hate it. Yeah, it's reality we all have to face. That's why we do the work we do here. Hopefully changing the narrative, all right? Okay, cops shot 30 times. 30 times in one vehicle. The man posed no threat to anyone. He is alive. Here's the video.
He's got a gun right on his lap. He's got a gun right on his lap. Do you want me to go to try to open this door and grab it? It's locked.
Let's go ahead and wake him up. I'm gonna stand right here. Chandler, if he
Dog on that gutter does anything.
Yeah.
Yell.
Yeah.
I mean, I.
Police department.
Police! 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 Put your hand. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Get on the ground, baby. Okay, that's my grandson.
Holy crap. Couple.
That's my grandson.
Where you hit, man?
Guys, hold on. You guys got to get me up.
Right here,
Hey, get my medikit.
I'm
Hey,
so
Grandma,
sorry,
it's okay,
baby.
Grandma.
Why
It's
come
okay.
you coming now?
Because I didn't want to wake you guys up.
Oh.
You guys got to get me out.
He posed no threat. He was at his grandmother's house. He was waiting in the car because he didn't want to wake them up. It was late. Grandmother may have been asleep. The grandmother's torn up because she's the one that called the police, thinking police come to help. She was unsure, but even in her call, she indicated it could be my family. Put up the picture full mass here. The police are destroying families in more ways than one. Imagine how the grandmother feels. 24-year-old Anthony Macklin was shot by the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police. They shot at him at least 30 times after they responded to a 911 call made by his grandmother. Her name is Vicky Driver. This actually happened December 31st, 2022. This was around 4 a.m. She saw a vehicle idling in a driveway, startled her, so she called the police. According to a recently filed lawsuit, Macklin was fired upon and hit 3 times because of a gun on his lap. Not a gun in his hand, not a threat to officers, not even an attempt to grab the gun. The gun was just simply in his lap. But his attorneys say the body cam footage never shows the gun in Mr. Macklin's hand. Macklin was in the hospital for 17 days, underwent 6 surgeries for wounds to his thighs and back. He'll be out of work for a minimum of 3 months. It could be more. Let me give you details of the incident. Mr. Macklin was visiting from Ohio, according to his attorneys, and had rented a car that police said had Florida plates. His car was being repaired in Indianapolis. Anthony planned to surprise his grandmother the next morning and take her out for breakfast before picking up his car at the dealership, the claim states. While making the call for help, driver also allegedly informed the dispatcher that she didn't know if it's one of her kids or not, providing very important information that should have been part of the record to the officer. An officer ran the plate and verified the driver. She did not have family from Florida. The release says officers intended to open the door and quickly grab the firearm, but the doors were locked. All right, doors are locked, let's just go ahead and shoot them. We had a plan, but the doors were locked. So we had no choice but to just all shoot him. They shot in that damn vehicle over 30 times, multiple officers. The man is alive. Could be dead, obviously. Naturally, they wanted him dead. Who shoots like that unless they want you dead? There's more. It's unclear based on the edited footage how long officers actually probed the situation. But I will remind you of the white woman who was inside of a hospital, shot her husband, shot at the ceiling, and the police arrived and they said, what did the cops say? We have all day. Please stand back, everybody. We have all day. Ma'am, tell us what's going on. How can we help you? She already killed somebody. The hospital staff, they're already gone because she's shooting up the hospital and she was apprehended. she was apprehended. The officer told the other officer, stand down. One cop said, I got it, I got a shot. He said, stand down, we have all day. That kind of courtesy is not extended to black men. The department said Mr. Macklin had moved his arm. Black man moving his arm. Moved his arm toward the officers before they opened fire. But noted it wasn't clear if the gun was in his hand and that there was no indication that he fired any rounds. You see, right there is a chargeable offense for the officers. Why? Because in order for them to justify a shooting, they must believe their life is in imminent danger. Not possibly. The officers had no justification whatsoever to use force on Anthony. Macklin's attorney wrote in a tort claim sent to the city on Monday. Anthony never picked up his handgun. He never pointed it at officers. He never threatened the officers. He was not breaking any laws. Mr. Macklin also had his license to carry issued right there, July 2016. The state of Indiana also now no longer requires a license to carry a handgun, but he got one. Additionally, Mr. Macklin's lawyer raised authenticity questions surrounding the released body cam footage from police. They claim police only told Mr. Macklin, raise your hands, just as officers began to shoot at him. However, in the released body cam, officers yelled, police, hands up, simultaneously for roughly 7 seconds before opening fire. Officers Lucas Riley, Alexander Gregory, and Carl Chandler have now been placed on administrative leave while being investigated. The family says they want the officers involved to be fired and to face criminal charges. I am echoing the sentiment of that family. Rayyvana, thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to the tireless efforts of healthcare workers and the grace of God, he is alive despite the best efforts by the police to murder him that night. Because what can you call that other than an attempted execution? And where are all of the Second Amendment advocates on this story? Where are all the people who are fighting for the right to have legal firearms when it comes to this story? Because that's what this story is. He had a legal firearm. He had his license to carry it, which is more than he needed in that state. And the police used that as a justification to open fire on him. I mean, the people who claim that they care so much about these issues seem to conveniently not care about them anymore when it's a black man exercising his Second Amendment right. It's disgusting, and this man deserves justice. And I mean, just the moments when the grandmother recognizes it's the grandson, she's trying to tell the police, and they're still screaming at him. They're still handcuffing him when it's clear he needs medical attention. They really tried to kill this man. And there needs to be justice.
Yeah, we will follow this story. I assume it will absolutely have some more twists and turns, looking for the investigative conclusion from the police department. Fox News, that guy, Jesse Waters, well, he has a problem with black people and reparations. Here's what he said.
Well, Greg said that what are they preparing them for? They're preparing them to beg for reparations when they're older. This is laying the groundwork. These CRT cartoons on Disney Plus is laying the groundwork for a younger generation of black Americans to demand reparations when they're old enough to do so. Yes, black labor in the South contributed to an enormous amount of wealth for these plantation owners. Black slavery built Southern railroads, ports, but not a lot of white people owned slaves in the South, and it was abolished in the North in like 1804. It was never even in the West. So yes, they contributed to building parts of America, but so did the Irish, the English, the Scotch, the Welsh, the Germans. Everybody built America. And when you say who built something, well, who designed it? Who was the architect? Who financed it? Labor's just a part of it. So if we're going to have a conversation about reparations, which I'm open to since I'm 1% black.
Yeah, that's true.
And I might get a check. You have to talk about it accurately.
Jesse, given your massive ignorance, I must conclude that the only person who has received benefit in life because of the color of his skin is you. Now, since you are unaware of the reality of what reparations is and how it works and the contribution of dynamic Black folk in America. I'm going to break it down for you, dear brother. And naturally, you can always come to the bullpen and proclaim your point of view. Invitation stands. Let's be very clear. Reparations is simply repair. That's what it is. Reparations is repair. In order for something to be repaired, there must be an acknowledgement that is broken. Do we all agree that America engaged in the protection of a broken system known as slavery? Yes, nobody disagrees with that. Do we all agree that slavery contributed to the massive wealth generation of white folk, while at the same time denying that generational wealth for the Black workers, the enslaved men and women? Yes, we agree to that. And reparations is something that the American government is actually okay with. I will provide the basis. First of all, you don't think it's ironic, Jesse, that slave masters, plantation owners receive reparations? April 16, 1862. President Abraham Lincoln signed a bill emancipating enslaved people in Washington, the end of the long struggle. But to ease the pain of the white male corrupt slave owner, the District of Columbia Emancipation Act paid those loyal to the Union up to $300 for every enslaved person they freed. That's right. Slave owners got reparations. Enslaved African Americans got nothing for their generations of stolen bodies, snatched children, and expropriated labor, other than their mere release from the legal bondage. After World War II, let me remind you of this, reparations again. Congress created the Indian Claims Commission. What was that for? To pay compensation to any federally recognized tribe or land that had been seized by the United States. The results were disappointing for Native Americans. The commission paid out about $1.3 billion, the equivalent of less than $1,000 for each Native American in the United States at the time the commission dissolved in 1978. So America is actually okay with reparations even when they do it wrong. They have done it. What about for the Japanese? The Japanese American Evacuation Claims Act, July 2nd, 1948, provided compensation to Japanese American citizens removed from the West Coast during World War II for losses of real and personal property. Approximately 26,550 claims totaling $142,000 were filed. The program was administered by the Justice Department, which set a $100 million limit on the claims. Over 36,974,240 was awarded. Once again, a reparations methodology, a reparations implementation. One of the claims is that, slavery was just in this, small part of southern states and not really a big deal. Let's go to California. You see, slavery was everywhere, Jesse. By 1860, there were more millionaires, slaveholders all living in the lower Mississippi Valley than anywhere else in the United States. In the same year, the nearly 4 million American slaves were worth some $3.5 billion, making them the largest single financial asset in the United States economy, worth more than all of manufacturing and railroads combined. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's go to a guy named Joe Moore. Joe Moore contradicts the narrative through his discoveries about slavery just being in an isolated part of America. There's one problem with the sunny vision of the past. It's simply not true. Though it was admitted to the Union as a free state, slavery still existed in the 1850s, even in places like California. And Moore is leading a project to shed light on its contradictory history. His proof is in print, ladies and gentlemen. In an 1852 ad announcing the public auction of a black man valued at $300, newspaper accounts of fugitive slaves who were arrested and county records certifying slaves bought their freedom from their owners, all in California. Moore and a team of researchers have uncovered these and other often overlooked pieces of California's past after months of digging through the archives of museums, historical societies, and libraries across the state. Jesse, America is not against reparations. You're not against reparations. You're just against reparations for black folk. But it's coming. And listen, we're decent. We're going to give you your fair share. You will get your 1%. All right, thoughts, dear sister.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jesse Waters is really, making a hard play to be the most ignorant person at Fox News. And that's difficult considering how stiff the competition is over there. Right. But, you mentioned, so much of the history of America that slavery was not just contained in these small bubbles in the South. And I think, something that's really indicative of that is things like the Fugitive Slave Act, which show that all the states played a role in returning slaves who escaped their slavery back to their slave owners. That wasn't just happening in the South. That was requiring all the states, even places where slavery was outlawed, to participate in the institution of slavery. And there's something so insidious about his language of just black labor without including the word forced labor, slave labor, and then him trying to include Irish people, which I'm assuming was his attempt to bring in indentured servitude. And I'll just say this as someone who has Irish heritage to all my fellow Irish Americans: shut up. Indentured servitude was nowhere near the evil that was chattel slavery in this country. To try to pretend that they're even remotely comparable is disingenuous at best and downright disgusting at worst, because they were not. It's not like people who were chattel slaves, black people in America, could buy their freedom, which is something that indentured servants could do. Their children were not born into servitude, which was the case for chattel slaves. And the institution of indentured slavery ended significantly earlier than did the institution of chattel slavery. So to try to make that comparison, Jesse Waters, you're disgusting.
A reporter gets arrested, all right? Gets arrested for reporting. The governor, a Republican, says that was wrong. The police say it was right. Let me take you to the video. Here it is.
Just stunning video. Our News Nation correspondent Evan Lambert being arrested in Ohio while reporting at a news conference.
Yes, he was there when he was asked to stop reporting during the time where the governor was speaking. Then law enforcement came up to him. You can see him speaking to them. It looks like the situation was becoming more tense. And then he was taken outside of the gymnasium where that news conference was being held and taken to jail.
The police are out of damn control. Put up the picture full mass here. Let me give you a little bit of background to this insanity that you just witnessed. Lambert was in the East Palestine city covering the derailment of a train that forced the evacuation of over 5,000 residents. People need to know what the hell is going on, okay? You had toxic chemicals. You had a lot of moving pieces. Lambert has been released from custody and has been charged with criminal trespass and disorderly conduct. Let's put up the governor, all right? Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, who's a Republican, by the way, said at a press conference, he condemned the arrest. He said, no, this is not what I wanted. I didn't sign off on this. He called it wrong and insisted that he was sorry that it happened and that Lambert had every right to cover what he was covering. He also said, I'm certainly very, very sorry that happened. I don't have all the facts, but he or she or whoever was arrested had every right to be there. The governor, the Republican governor said. So after the governor says that was wrong, who then contradicts the governor? the damn police. Police are out of control. Put his picture up. J.C. Brown III, the chief of police, claimed that the live reporting of Mr. Lambert was just too loud. And 2 troopers went back and advised him to stop the live coverage in an effort to ensure that all members of the media were getting the necessary safety information. Lambert was told that he needed to leave the gymnasium because at that point in time, the situation evolved into a physical confrontation and required law enforcement intervention. Literally, the police are the only ones that caused a disruption. Why don't you lock your own asses up? Everyone there agreed there was no disruption until you got involved. The governor says something, and the chief of police comes out against the governor to justify an arrest that even the Republican governor knew was wrong. They are out of control. Rayyvana, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, right wingers want you to believe that the biggest threat to your First Amendment rights is woke things on TV or cancel culture. But in reality, the biggest threat to your First Amendment rights are the police. In this case, we saw the police, punish this reporter for doing his job, and then they'll double down, they'll triple down, they'll quadruple down on their bad behavior before they would ever admit to doing something wrong, even when the governor is not on their side. It doesn't matter. They'll continue to defend themselves in their heinous actions. And I'm glad that we're covering this story because freedom of the press is really important. And this is, it is in effect going to intimidate these reporters from covering the news when they're afraid that the police are going to become, as you so well put it, out of control and try to prevent them from doing so.
Yeah, well said. Democracy requires a free press. My dear sister, tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody can see my videos for Rebel HQ on YouTube and Facebook every weekday, and you can get updates on that on my Twitter at RayyvanaTTV. Thanks so much for having me on.
Always a pleasure. All right, the bullpen is next. Stick and stay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen.
Yeah, I told y'all I was gonna bring her on the program. Okay, so this person, she mimics me. I think all of her mimicry could use a little bit of critique. So I have brought her to the bullpen as promised. This is Charmaine, Empress of Trades, who is a TikTok influencer. Otherwise known as Empress of Trades on TikTok, is a gifted impressionist and video content creator, along with being a loving wife and mother. She is a proud representative of Sigma Gamma Rho sorority and is active in giving back to her community. So first of all, you're gonna have to tell me why. So where did the idea come from to impersonate me on TikTok and be hella funny at it? I thought it was great execution, honestly.
Well, my husband watches you a lot.
Okay.
And one day he was watching your videos and I asked, when did his mustache change? And he said, for a while now. So then recently I've been in tea talk.
Yes.
And influencers give tea. And somehow your mustache came into my mind as I was watching tea talk. And then the idea came to fruition.
You know what's so interesting? I actually noticed, a lot of people didn't notice this. Every scene that you portrayed me in, my mustache was different. Now I don't change my mustache during the show now, damn. But I noticed that small variation, okay? I thought that was genius. Let me remind people of your impersonation. Here it is.
Roll the clip. More on this story from the Jolly Good Ginger.
That's probably how I would say it if I had the Jolly Good Ginger as a source. All right. Where did this come from? Your ability to impersonate and your willingness to make other people smile and feel good through this particular art?
Well, I would have to say that comes from my mother. She was a very kind and gentle soul, and I enjoyed making her laugh, especially with being the youngest. I was always known for being silly, as to say. And it brings great joy to me to bring joy to others.
There it is. There it is. All right. How long have you been doing this?
TikTok since COVID started, trying to make others smile, almost my whole life.
Okay. Tell us about your family. All right. So we know that your husband is a fan of the program. You were at least halfway interested in my mustache. That's how you got involved. So tell us about your family.
Well, my husband, he is a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, an advisor on campus and gives back to the community as well.
Nice.
We both work at the same facility. And my son, he will be 5 in June. He has a very interesting imagination, just like myself.
Okay, all right. And when you say interesting imagination, tell us a little bit about that. Unpack that for me.
For example, every day he's in a different animal. Mostly he likes dinosaurs. So if you don't address him as whatever animal he is, he would not respond.
I think that's a great imagination. You know, strong imagination is an indication of intellect. You know that, early age, strong indication of intellect. All right, so here's what I want you to do, Charmaine. I want you to let people know how they can follow you, check out your work on TikTok, enjoy all of your permeations of impersonations.
You can follow me on TikTok as Empress of Trades, on Instagram and on Snapchat as ANK_VIP.
All right, and I will say this, you all right, sometimes I will give the tea. You're absolutely correct. If there's a story that is worth highlighting, and sometimes it's a little tea involved, I don't mind breaking the tea too. So I'm glad you picked up on that as well. Thank you for being a good sport. Thank you for being supportive. And really, it's an honor and very flattering. And I appreciate what you do. And you're very funny, very talented. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there it is. Okay, that was dope. I wasn't offended at all. Good sport. All right, I don't talk quite the way she said I talk though. Okay. All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, remember. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable. Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Richey. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.